Hi guys, it's Steve from Coils and Coins Detecting. Today I thought I'd do a video that's a little bit different to most videos out there, because most videos are looking for good stuff. I'm actually going to do a video looking for trash, and the reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to explain what you're listening for, how to help you identify trash signals and rubbish signals so that you don't dig so many of them, and then you can spend more time digging up the targets that are likely to be something decent. Well, that's the theory anyway. Now let's give this target a look. I've got a 1819. Okay, it's repeatable, and if I move around to the 90 degrees, I'm still getting a decent signal. It's telling me it's 1 bar down, so it shouldn't be very deep, but I'm not getting a double bounce sound, so to me that's a warning sign straight away. If something's that shallow, it should really be giving me a double bounce. It's a little bit of a scratchy one on that angle, and on this angle, again, not a double bounce. The other thing is if I lift my coil 6 to 10 inches off the ground, it's a bit hard to see on this angle, but I am 6 to 10 inches off the ground and I'm still getting that target. Now that to me means it's a fairly big object. If it was a coin or something along those lines and it was shallow, I wouldn't be able to detect it 10 inches off the ground like that, and I am, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be rubbish. The other thing you can do is put it into all metal, see if you can hear any iron. Can't hear any iron grunts on this occasion. And the other thing that's worth doing sometimes is putting it into a single frequency like 20 kilohertz and just see if the target's bouncing around a lot or not. On this occasion it's pretty fixed on 19, on 20, on 40. It's also pretty fixed. So what we'll do is we'll recover this target. I believe it's rubbish. Could be can slaw or something a little bit larger, maybe a big lid or something like that. So let's recover it and we'll see if we're right. The other thing I want to add here, same target, the 19 target that we're just looking at, I haven't dug it yet. I was just going to show you something else. If I go into pinpoint mode, so we've got our 19, pinpoint, hear how long and protracted that is, that target sound, that pinpoint sound. It can't lock in onto a small object. If it was a small object, it would sound a lot shorter and sharper, so it's going to be something big or bigger than what we're really looking for if we're hunting for coins and the like. So yep, and if I move the coil around the area, I'm getting that 19 in more than just one little area, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be a can or something. So let's check it out. Okay, so I've dug a plug where that 19 signal was, a hinged plug, so it's still connected at the back here, and I've just dug a horseshoe shape hinge plug. Straight away lift the plug and I can see down here the base of an old can. So we were right about what we thought it was. The signals were just too wrong for a coin or a smaller object with a regular size. So those tricks there all together, when you use those techniques, you can really help identify rubbish and not dig that rubbish and move on to something decent. So yeah, let's see what else we can find, and we'll see if we can use those techniques again to identify rubbish. Alright, so here's another situation that's fairly common. So we're detecting along, we get a good repeatable signal. It's shallow, it's 16, 17, 18, around that kind of number. If I move around the target, listen to the tones. Now it's glitching, it's still repeatable, but it's not a consistent tone. It's breaking up, it's glitching, it's doing all kinds of weird things. I'll enable all metal. Yeah, it's still, there's no iron signals in there, but the signal's just not not a steady, reliable signal, and it's high and low and it's breaking up. And the height test, again, I'm 10 inches off the ground there and I'm getting the same signal. That's definitely rubbish. That is going to be a can again or something big, but we will dig it up just to prove it. Alright, so the other warning sign is when you turn your pinpointer on and you start looking for the target, because it's shallow and you're getting signals all over the place, kind of all in the same area but no one particular spot. That to me means the target's quite big as well. So I've got a very strong signal just here, but other signals around it. So it's kind of in this area and it's kind of larger than we'd like for a coin or something. So let's dig this up and check it out. Alright, so I've dug a plug straight away, lifted that plug, and I've got a pull top to a can which is still in the hole down here. So if I can get it out, hand slaw. So there you go. Definitely sounded like rubbish, and it definitely was rubbish. Again, we use the same tricks. Go around the target, see if it's repeatable. Watch what the target ID numbers are doing. If they're flicking around high and low, or if you're only getting them in one direction, that's a good sign that it's rubbish. Lift your coil off the ground and go over the target again, 6 to 10 inches off the ground. If you're still hearing the target tone and it's supposed to be 1 or 2 bars below the ground, that's going to be a big target, something like a big can or a lid. Alright, so I've got a target here that sounds decent from this direction, 16, 17, 18. It's telling me 2 bars down. If I move 90 degrees, listen to the tones. They're breaking up. Doesn't sound good at all. Come around here. Nice repeatable tones. And the pinpointer is shorter and sharper than we've been seeing, which is what it should sound like if it's a smaller object. So that's not so bad. But what you hear is that tone breakup. It sounds horrible. If I enable all metal, now listen, we can hear some iron grunts in there too. So that is a real awful sounding signal, even though from certain directions, like over here, sounds quite solid and repeatable at the 17. And the pinpoint is fairly decent, like it's not too big, the area. Over here though, breaking up, all metal on. Can't hear any metal signals there. Oh. Over here though, yeah, sounds horrible. And there's iron signal, in there. So that's definitely going to be rubbish too. But look, if we'd approached it from this angle and hadn't done all those things we just did, we'd probably be quite tempted to dig that. I wouldn't dig that normally. And again, I'm say 6 inches off the ground above the target there with the coil, and I can still hear it. So again, it's probably going to be a little bit bigger than a coin type object. Could be a bottle top or something, this one, or can slaw again. So let's dig it, just so we can prove what that is. Alright, so I've dug the hinged plug, and I've gone down quite a fair way. Target's down the bottom of the hole. I can feel it with the digger, but I can't see it. It feels like a big chunk of metal, iron, I don't know, an old steel plate or something like that. So again, our test did indicate it was rubbish, and it definitely is rubbish. I mean, if it's 1 or 2 bars, supposed to be 1 or 2 bars down, it's not going to be that deep. Big objects sound shallow to the detector, and that's what we're trying to eliminate, those targets that just aren't worth digging. I would not have dug that, and that's the reason why it's just a total waste of time digging targets that sound like that. Well, 95% of the time it's a waste of time. Sometimes you're surprised. So we'll move on. Alright, so here's a target that's not so cut and dry as to whether it's rubbish or something decent. So repeatable 22, jumping a little bit to 26. If I move around the target, 22, 24, 26 on that side, and also 21, 22, 23 on this side. So it's got decent repeatable targets. Turn all metal on. Can't hear any iron grunting anywhere. Still a decent signal. A little bit there, just a little bit. Here, still sounding pretty good. Height test. I'm not getting a signal unless I'm a couple of inches from the ground, so it's not a big object, I wouldn't think. It's telling me it's 3 bars down, so 5-6 inches, something like that. If we go into single frequency, the numbers aren't jumping too much. A little bit on 5, they're jumping a bit, but I'm getting consistent readings there. 10, same sort of deal. 20, jumping a bit again. Not crazy jumping, but there is a bit of movement there. 40 kilohertz though, breaks up a fair bit. Kind of lost it there at 40. So based on the single frequency testing here, and at 40 kilohertz in particular, I'm going to say that's rubbish, and I'm going to say it's something about the size of a bottle top. Back to multi, sounds sweet again. Okay, so we're going to dig this one. The other thing, pinpointer. Pinpointer's pretty well sold on the idea that it's right there, and that's what it sounds like too. So I'm going to dig that up and we'll see what it is. Alright, so again I've dug a plug. On this occasion though, it was a 1-cent piece, so an interesting one. It did sound okay, pretty much all the way around. It was jumping a little bit, and as you saw, 40 kilohertz called it out a bit as not being a great signal, but it's a coin, so a 1-cent piece isn't really a desirable coin to find, but it is a coin, so that's interesting. We'll put that one into the book as an interesting one, and we'll keep on looking, see what else we can work out. Alright, so I've dug our plug, and I'm just getting down to the target. I haven't seen it yet, but it isn't too far away. Let's clear the hole out a bit. Okay, so I'm quite close to it there now. And there we go. It's a lid, a squashed lid, I think. Yep, bit of a can actually. Can slaw. So again, rubbish. So just to show you the difference, here's a target 22, 23. It's about 4 bars down. Now, it's a nice repeatable target. I move around the hole. It's nice and repeatable. The numbers are jumping around a little bit, I'll grant you that. Go to all metal. I can't hear any iron grunts about there, so that's a good sign. Go to 5 kilohertz. Numbers are a little higher than they were, but they're not jumping around all crazy. 10, similar story. 20, they are jumping quite a lot there. 40, not too bad, but it's not really happy at 40. Multi though is loving it, particularly on this kind of angle here. And above the ground, I can't hear the target unless I'm almost on the ground. So to me, that's a fairly small target. Pinpointer, it's pretty happy with it right there. It's not picking it up anywhere else, just there. So I'm going to say that could be a coin. Possibly a 1 or 2 cent piece, but it could be something else, possibly a pre-decimal or something like that. But I'm thinking there's enough good about that to investigate that one, so let's dig it up and see what we got. Alright, so dug the plug, hinge plug as usual, taken some dirt out. We're starting to get down towards the target now. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm down a good 5 or 6 inches, so the 4 bars was about right. And it's right there in the bottom of the hole, and it's not very big, I don't think. So our theory that it's probably a coin is looking alright at this point. I think it's out. There we go. It is a coin. It's a 1 cent piece, which is, yeah, kind of what I expected it might be. So you do get to hear them, the targets. Sometimes you can kind of pick out the tones, and you kind of know whether it's worth digging or not. That could just as easily have been a pre-decimal coin, and that's why we end up digging so many 1 and 2 cent pieces, because they do sound a bit like pre-decimals. You have to chase them down. But still, not unhappy with that. Called it for a coin. It is a coin, not rubbish. And all the tests we did kind of confirmed that it might be worth investigating it. So, happy with that. Let's see what else we can get. Okay, sorry about the wind, guys. Hopefully it's not too bad. I'll just turn my back to it. Okay, so we've got a 16 signal. Now, in multi, it's consistent, and there's 1 bar of depth, and I'm getting that double bounce sound. Okay, so to me, that's a consistent signal. Doesn't matter which way I go around the target, I'm getting a 16 in every direction. I'm not getting any any weird target IDs coming up, just 16s. All metal, no iron grunts, and height test. I am getting it about 3-4 inches above the ground, but no higher, and it is telling me it's a 1, so that does make some sense. If I was, 8-10 inches above the ground and I could still hear it and it was a 1, I'd start to worry, which is typically the can sort of situation. Single frequency, we'll try 10. Pretty consistent, jumping a little bit but not much. 20, pretty consistent. Oops, wanted to show you 40 kilohertz. Yeah, not great. Doesn't really like it, does it? Back to multi. Consistent. I'm calling that one, I'm pretty sure that's a 20 cent piece, but look, often you think it's a 20 cent piece. More often than not, you're right, but pull tabs can be 16s as well. They actually drive you nuts. I'll take the marker out. Okay, well, I can actually see this. I think that was actually it. There's a bit of foil there. Maybe it wasn't it. No. Foil typically rings up much lower than that, so it just happens to be right on top of the target. That might have affected the numbers, potentially affected the numbers. Let's see. Okay, let's see what we've got here. It's pretty shallow. Shouldn't be too hard to find it. It's right there somewhere. Can't feel a coin. But it's a 20 cent piece. Alright, so you can see there that the target tones and everything were consistent. I called it for a coin. I thought it might have been a 20 cent piece. It was. Could have been a pull top, but I was sort of more convinced that it wasn't a pull top. Pretty sure it was a 20 cent piece. So yeah, the tests generally work, sometimes they're wrong, but they give you a bit of a head start, and if you use them consistently, you will find that more often than not they serve you well. So that's good. Alright, we'll have a bit more of a look, and then we might give it a rest. Maybe one more trashy signal or questionable signal, just so you can see another example. Alright, here's one I hear every now and again, a bouncy 17. and it's pretty consistent. If I go right round, it does fluctuate a little bit. So a 17 is going to be, in Australia, it's going to be a 50-cent piece, or it's going to be a ring pull, usually. And usually the way you can tell the difference is from that double bounce sound. If it's shallow, the ring pulls don't seem to double bounce as consistently as the coins do. All metal sounds the same. Pinpointer loves it. It's a small object. I'm hearing it about 4 inches above the ground, which is about right for a 50-cent piece, which is a fairly large coin if it's on the surface. Oops. And if we go into single frequency, still sounds, that double bounce sound is still there. Target IDs have gone up a little bit, 18, 19 instead of the 17. But look, that's got enough consistency about it for me to check that out. Normally the ring pulls, you can tell a little bit of difference in the sound. The tone's a bit different, and also the double bounce isn't quite as strong or as consistent. And sometimes in one direction you'll get a sound that's not quite right. You'll get an off tone. I didn't hear an off tone that time. I'm going to call this a 50-cent piece. Watch me be wrong. Been wrong plenty of times before, don't worry. It's down there. Well, looks like I'm right, which is good news. Although it is bent. Coin's bent out of shape somewhat. It's been hit by the mower. Maybe that accounts for why on these single frequencies it was jumping a little bit more highly with the numbers. I'm not sure, but look, it sounded like a 50-cent piece all day long to me. But there have been cases where that's not been proven true. I've dug up a ring pull and it sounded like a 50-cent piece all day long then too. But at least if you learn some of these tricks, I guess, listen to the tones, you might still dig some rubbish, but you're going to reduce how much rubbish you dig. That's the point. You can reduce the amount of rubbish we dig by just crossing out the obvious rubbish targets. We can move on to find hopefully some better ones. So yep, let's keep going. Okay guys, well thanks for joining me for this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. I'm trying to just demonstrate what to look for trashy targets, and it's not easy. There's so many trashy targets that you wouldn't dig. There are a lot of targets that are iffy that you dig and you find out there's something good. It's a real battle. That's the art of metal detecting, I guess, is to try to listen and learn and understand what the machine's telling you. And if you're in doubt or you suspect it could be something good, you probably need to dig it. But there are certain targets that you definitely know are not worth digging. Cans generally are the big one. Bottle tops and ring pulls are tricky. But the more you mess around with your machine settings, the more you use it, the more you understand what these signals mean, and you improve your chances. That's what it's all about, I guess. Improving the possibility that what you're about to dig up is something decent, saving some time so that you have more time to dig the good targets, or the targets that might be something decent. So thanks for joining me in the hunt, guys, or in the not so much a hunt, but we found a few coins, but it wasn't really a hunt. It's more about trashy targets today. So thanks for joining me on the video. Please like and subscribe if you got something out of it. I'll be releasing more videos as we go forward, hopefully helping you guys out, and feel free to drop a comment as well. Always keen to hear what you've got to say. So until next time, catch you later.